All right, today we're going to dive into a company that is just completely flipping the script on how a business can run in the age of AI. It's called JB3AI, and you'll soon see that its most powerful product isn't what you'd expect at all. But first, let me just throw this question at you, kind of frame our whole conversation here. What if the most game-changing thing a company built wasn't its software, but the actual system it used to create that software? Just keep that idea in the back of your mind. So, what is it that makes this company so different? Well, it's not about jumping on a latest tech bandwagon. No, its entire foundation is built on something that feels surprisingly human. So here it is, JB3AI. And that little superscript 3 in the name, that's really important. It stands for the fusion of three things: experience, science, and intelligence. And look, this wasn't just some clever branding. It was basically a mission statement, a sign that this company was going to play by a whole different set of rules from day one. And this quote from the founder's letter, man, it just gets right to the heart of everything. The whole point isn't to make people obsolete. It's to build tools that protect, remember, and empower them. You know, it's a world away from that typical disrupt and replace playbook we hear so much about.
Okay, so what does a company with a philosophy like that actually build? Well, the tools it offers to the public are pretty diverse, but they all share one single unifying theme: delivering clarity.
On one hand, you've got Investigator AI, this really powerful tool for doing deep, forensic-level research. And then on the complete other end of the spectrum, there's MindCare AI, which is a personal app focused on cognitive balance and mental well-being. I mean, two totally different products, right? For two totally different needs. And yet, both were designed to do the exact same thing: cut through the noise. Investigator AI is just incredibly practical. Its tagline says it all: insight without noise. And let's be clear, this isn't some spy tool. It's about taking public information and making sense of it fast. So for a small business owner, this could mean dodging a really bad partnership. For you or me, it might be just knowing who you're really buying that used car from online. It basically turns what would be hours of frustrating digging into minutes of pure clarity. And this slide just perfectly sums up the philosophy behind MindCare AI. You see, it is specifically not a clinical tool. It's not trying to analyze your emotions or give you a mental health score. Nope, it's designed to be a private, supportive partner. It gives you things like a diary that just lets you reflect without trying to interpret your words, or a scheduler that's built to reduce pressure, not just jam more tasks into your day. The entire focus is on support, not surveillance. It's a huge difference. Okay, so we've got these two sophisticated, totally separate AI products. You'd have to assume there's a pretty big team of developers, designers, and managers behind them, right? Well, this is where the story gets really interesting. And here it is, the central mystery of JB3AI. How on earth do you build an entire ecosystem of AI tools? I mean, from the ground-up strategy and branding, all the way to the coding and system architecture, with a team of just one. The answer to this is the company's real product. Let's break down how this was even possible, and we'll start with time. The entire initial build, from the first strategic idea to fully functioning systems, took only about 11 weeks. That's less than a single quarter to create everything we've just talked about. And during that time, this AI-accelerated workflow saved a frankly staggering amount of labor. We're talking an estimated 7,000 plus human hours compared to how things are normally done. That's basically the equivalent of almost 4 years of full-time work for a single person, just compressed. And the output, just as massive. It churned out the equivalent of over 1,000 pages of dense, complex work. That includes functional code, intricate video logic, detailed system architecture, the whole shebang. And this comparison chart really just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? On one side, you have the JB3AI model, one person plus their AI systems, and on the other, the traditional way, a whole team of 12 to 18 specialists, taking close to a year. But honestly, the most important difference isn't the number of people or the timeline. Look at those bottom two rows. Coordination and waiting time. That friction, that drag that slows down every project, it goes from very high to pretty much zero. And that right there, that is the secret. That's the big reveal. The AI wasn't used to replace human experts. It was used to get rid of the single biggest bottleneck in literally any project, the administrative nightmare of coordination. All of a sudden, there are no handoffs, no alignment meetings, no waiting around for somebody else to finish their piece of the puzzle.
So you might be guessing where this is going. This is the moment the company becomes the product. This incredibly efficient internal operating system, this blueprint for moving at lightning speed, has been packaged up and turned into a consulting service for other businesses.
And the approach is super methodical, very clear. It all starts with assessing what's actually broken, finding the real pressure points. Then they design a smart, coherent system, guide the whole implementation process, and then stick around to provide ongoing advice to make sure the new way of working actually sticks. It's kind of like installing a brand new operating system, but for the business itself. Now, a huge part of this service is something called the GTR report. The best way to think about it is as a custom-built blueprint for business speed. It's this super data-driven roadmap that shows a company exactly where time and money are being wasted, which systems have to change, and what the real, tangible return on investment will be for specific AI tools. It just gives leaders a clear, actionable way forward. No more guesswork. But even with all this talk about systems and speed and efficiency, the story always comes back to where it started. The why behind all of this is deeply personal and, at its core, entirely human. This line, which comes from the founder's private notes, it really gives you the ultimate context for everything. This whole massive effort, it was never about trying to get back something that was lost. It was about building something totally new, something that just wasn't possible before. A new capability, a new way to work, a new way of seeing things. That's the real shift.
Which, brings us right back to the beginning. From Investigator AI's goal to protect to MindCare AI's mission to guide, that core philosophy never wavers. The technology, it doesn't matter how advanced it gets, it's just a tool. It's just a means to an end. And that end is always, always about serving real human needs.
So we're going to end right where we started, with a question for you. The biggest innovation here wasn't a line of code. It was a system that basically erased the tax of coordination. So what could you, or your company, or your team, what could you build, create, or solve if all that time you lose to meetings and handoffs and just waiting around, what if it all just vanished? Definitely something to think about.